Crosstracks case management system. That is what we are talking about today. Are you using a case management system? What are you waiting for? If you don't use a case management system, you really need to look into implementing that into your business regimen. I've been at it with Crosstracks now a little over a year, and it's just been a game changer for my business. They are SOC 2 certified, SOC 2 Type 2 certified. If you don't know what that means, it means that their encryption system is second to none, and you have to go through a whole screening process to figure out if you can even qualify for that, and they have. So you know with certainty your data is being protected. I don't think there's another case management system out there that offers that same ability to have the SOC 2 Type 2 certification. As you guys know, I've been singing the praises of Crosstracks, and I really believe in this product, and I believe you should check it out. Contact Brad, contact Pat, one of the team members over there, and see if it's right for you. Crosstracks case management system, check it out today.
Are you an investigative professional? Did you know you can now find the best private investigator resources using investigatorstoolbox.com? It is a resource community built exclusively for licensed investigators and investigative professionals. This is the future of investigative learning, networking, and resource management. You can interact with some of the best investigative minds in the business in our community section. Our private investigator resources also have a robust learning section packed full of free training webinars, audio teachings, and helpful articles. Many teachings offer CLE credit. Our data resources section features over 225 free OSINT resources. This site is also designed to create a private personal resource library for your use when you do research. We have partnered with some of the best investigators and businesses in this industry to provide benefits and discounts to our members. We have over $1,250 worth of discounts and benefits available exclusively to members of the community. For less than 49 cents a day, you can access this amazing resource tool. Download the Investigator's Toolbox app available on Android and iOS, or visit our webpage at investigators-toolbox.com. The best private investigator resources and this amazing community are only a few clicks away.
Welcome to a special Thursday edition of PI Perspectives. Today's Veterans Day, and before we jump into the show, we want to take a moment and thank our servicemen and women for protecting our country. We'd also like to pause for a moment of silence for those servicemen and women who've made the ultimate sacrifice. We thank you for taking that moment with us. So today we have a retired Marine, Byron Rodgers, back on the show. Byron lives and breathes in the world of executive protection and security. Today we're talking about security in houses of worship. We're also going to chat about the upcoming Executive Protection Forum, December 8th in Las Vegas. Let's join Byron Rodgers and your host, private investigator, Matt Spaier.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today, we welcome back Byron Rodgers from the Bravo Research Group. Byron, how are you?
I'm good. Boom. It's an honor to be here, man. I love it.
Give me a boom, right? If I don't hear the boom, it's not working, right? Bring in the energy. First of all, this is our Veterans Day special. So thank you for serving. I really, really appreciate it. And not only for serving, man, for what you do for veterans. I just appreciate that so much, man, that you have created a pathway for guys and gals that come home that say, now what? You have really given them something to do. So tell me a little bit about that. Obviously, you were a Marine, correct?
Yes, sir.
And tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, and it's honestly, it's one of the honors of my life as well. One, to come from that, that pedigree, and then have found my way by the grace of God. And then to be like, man, this is awesome. Transitionally, to be able to go from kind of, warrior into a guardianship is like, it's just such a smooth and seamless transition. It allowed me to really, instead of seeing a lot of the things that I came back from combat with as impediments or things that just don't fit into this new civilian division of the military, I like to call it.
Right.
I was able to still leverage who I was on so many levels. And it really eased a lot of that inner psychic friction we deal with as we try to like adapt. It's like, it can be like being forced to watch cartoons for the rest of your life, or like being a Lamborghini forced to drive in a school zone. If you're like going from that high speed life into something else, that has no crossover. But now, I've got my school, the League of Executive Protection Specialists. We have ran with our first installation training day, which is kind of like the bachelor's degree,
right,
in terms of how to get into the industry, how to do the work. I love that program because it's not just teaching you how to do EP. A lot of schools will just teach you how to do EP, but then when it comes to writing your resume, when it comes to how to interview, how to dress, how to interface social dynamics, how to interface with your team, your principals, your clients, the vendors, like how to act even, in order to be successful. And the social dynamics around that all is the one thing that I see make or break people's careers. I've seen a lot of dudes that are so good are lethal and smart and have good hearts lose their careers because the social dynamics of it all. So focus on that.
Yeah, you have to be a kind of an entrepreneur. You got to have that entrepreneurial spirit in doing this stuff. Even if you're working for somebody, you still got to have that alpha personality to achieve things. So I think you're right, man. And what I appreciate also about what you're doing is the community, right? That you do have these conversations with one another, and there's that hand holding, and you do a lot of Zoom meetings, I think, right, where folks will come on and ask questions, and you have these. Are you doing it monthly or weekly? How often do you do it?
Yeah, so for the patrons of the course, for folks that are in that course, we meet every other week, and so it's kind of my way to make sure I'm in integrity with myself and my class, that I'm doing everything I can to make sure they survive, that they make it, and that they're successful. So I'm kind of like their conciliary, just for their, we do our careers together, so we meet every other week. I help them work through any problems, any snags, make sure they're working our process to get into the industry, or our process to elevate their careers. And then now that we have the bachelor's class, which blew up, we've got about 300 students in the first year or so, about a year and a half. And now we've installed the master's class segment, which I'm so excited about. And that is just a consortium. It's a batch of about 20 some odd of instructors that have done amazing things in our industry. Some of the biggest name instructors in the industry. You've got your Elijah Shaws, you've got your Christian West, you've got Joe LaSorsa, you've got Aaron Muldens, you've got the list goes on and on.
Sure.
But then also people you haven't heard of that have done amazing things in the industry, and they're tackling higher level problems. They're tackling things because there's really no training from once you go from being an agent to when you want to be a company owner or a team leader or a detail leader. It's just like you're an agent, and then you are like, I want to start a PPO, or all of a sudden you're in management, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I know how to do the agent, so I can do this, right? No, it's more sophisticated. There's levels to this thing, right?
Yeah, sure.
So there's a lot of higher level stuff we tackle in that part of the course. And that's been such an honor to have those people who are legends and have done so much more than me in this industry sign on and join forces with me, to try to bring some real high level value, more than I ever could to the industry, more than I could alone. I
think I heard recently, because I do check out your podcast too, right? You have a few of them. So Executive Protection Lifestyle is one I enjoy listening to. And if I heard correctly, if I remember correctly, like you've gone international with it too, right? There are folks from other countries that are now part of this program too, right?
Yeah, man. So Executive Protection Lifestyle brand, and we are now branching out to different countries, so we're looking for different shops and different leaders, different companies around the world to kind of have different chapters out there in the world. So we've just launched EPL Canada through Sentinel Security Plus up there. They're an awesome shop up there. These guys are all about excellence, because the reality is, if I'm really trying to impact the executive protection industry, I know the US market. And yeah, I've been all over the world, but for a guy that's in Canada where, they aren't allowed to carry weapons, it's just a different game, different culture.
Yeah.
And so, erecting and setting up leaders in those areas to hold the banner and the standards, right? Because it's more than just a job. It's about lifestyle, those standards there. And we've got a few other countries on the horizon. If you guys are in your country and you want to carry the flag and the standard there, let me know, because this has been pretty awesome to branch out.
I don't understand Canada, how anyone gets anything done, because it's the same thing with private investigators, man. They have no access to any of the research that we have. It's so limited. And I was like, I had a guy on, I guess about a year and a half ago, maybe. He basically made his living on surveillance, because you really couldn't do anything other than that. You couldn't do research. It was hard to get things done. And this guy was interesting because he competed in the Olympics. He was like a judo guy.
Wow.
And he was like half Israeli and half Canadian. Like, it's a really interesting story.
Really Canadian.
But I felt bad for the dude, because he was really struggling to get work and do things, because it was just so hard. And then when COVID hits, and everyone's got to wear a mask, like, how do you do surveillance at that point? How do you identify it? People aren't going out of their houses either. So, it's crazy. How did you handle COVID? What did you see on your end? I'm sure, protecting things, there was big money in that, right? You and I were talking before we got online that you had a very good year this year. So tell me a little bit about that. How was that, the dealing with COVID on your end?
Yeah, the COVID thing was interesting. Certain aspects of my business, certain accounts definitely tamped down and shut off. Mm-hmm. However, certain aspects of my business went through the roof, especially during the riots. I had more work than I could deal with. I was passing contracts to friends because it was just, I was getting calls like, hey, we need guys down here now. We need a team of 4 guys. We need a team of 6 guys. And it was just like boom, 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 rapid fire. My high net worth families were like, we need more guys, we need more assets, we need more coverage. That was awesome. But anything having to do, I do a lot of faith-based stuff, a lot of churches and things like that. Those went and pretty much almost shut down. They went more bare bones. Yep. So it was nice to have a diversified, I don't know, I want to say portfolio, but a diversified list or books of clients, because what I lost here, I made up here. And ultimately, I think we had a better year as a result of the chaos than really anything else. We also picked up some more corporate contracts, as people needed to protect their storefronts and CEOs and things like that. So for me, COVID did well because I was in I serve multiple client demographics. Right. That was the hedge. Diversify.
Yeah, you got to be able to identify it. I know, like in my state association here in New York, like we were really all over our lobbyists. Like, you need to make sure we have a carve out. We've got to make sure that security and private investigators can continue doing work as essential services. And as soon as we got the green light from the governor's office, it's like all bets were off. There were pivots on things you had to do. I mean, I work with lawyers. Lawyers didn't come in from March to June, and now they're kind of in, but they're kind of not. Now it's finally starting to come back to normal. I mean, I'm doing a networking event next week, and reaching out to attorneys, inviting them to events, and them telling me I would love to go, but I have a trial I'm picking a jury for next week. Like, that's music to my ears. I was like, yes, brother, don't worry about it. I'll catch you on the next one. At least you're in the courtroom and you're moving your cases, because at the end of the day, if they're not getting paid, if they don't have money, they're not spending money on their cases, and so on and so forth. So it's nice to see that. I mean, listen, we all got to have our card showing we're vaccinated to sit anywhere or do anything here in New York. But, at least we're getting one step closer to where we need to be. So that's all good stuff, man.
Step by step.
So what did you notice with your schooling during that time? Did you feel like folks on your side of the profession were taking that interest in trying making themselves better, or were they just kind of tightening up and saying, all right, I can't spend any money or time on this. I got to make sure I'm earning. What was your experience on that?
At the beginning, tuition went through, submission, like people joined, it went through the roof. Yeah. In the beginning were some of the best few months we've had. Right. People were like, hey, I got to sit at home. This is an online course. Right. So many advantages there. You get to keep your lesson, keep your instructor. We're having meetings all the time. It's not like you pay for a course and it's a flashpoint in your career that you went to a school at one point in time. It's like, no, you're kind of part of this tribe, and then I also have set up a network and an online place for everyone to continue their relationships and continue doing their careers together. So a lot of people joined the pack and a lot of activity in the groups, a lot of new signups, people signing on to the team. And then as it continued waning on. I think folks just didn't have the discretionary funding. So they just kind of tapered off for a while, for a few months. And then now, as we've come out of like the dark ages of the lockdowns and stuff, it's just gone, it's gone right back up. So it blacked out for a good month or two where we were like, wow, man, but it was obvious that it had everything to do with, socioeconomic changes.
Well, when the stimmy money is gone, the stimmy money is gone, right? Yeah,
man. But yeah, we weathered the storm great overall. And a lot of people just got better, and that's what I'd say. The lockdowns and the pandemic, people either got better, in better shape, smarter. Yeah. And then you'd see other people and you're like, man, you got that COVID 5 pounds on you, and you just didn't spend your time wisely, and they got worse.
So yeah, I started off in the pandemic, like there's no way I'm gaining weight, and I was riding an exercise bike like an animal. I was at home. Yeah. I'm listening to sermons like daily, an hour at a time, just crushing it. Right. And I'm like, this is great. And I'm like feeling really good. And then slowly but surely life got in the way. And now I'm not doing 7 days a week. I'm down to 3 or 4 days a week. And there's 2 days if I'm lucky to get on there. And of course, you pack down a little extra pounds, and now it's all off, it's like back to it. And all right, let's go back to work. And gym's opened back up, which was nice. So
very nice.
Out there and do some things and feel the shame of what I let myself get into.
I completely get it, man.
Yeah, that's a different episode for another day. So I wanted to talk to you about houses of worship, like you had talked about that. And last time we had you on, we had teased next time, hey, we'll come back and we'll talk about that stuff, which is what we're going to do. I do want to take a break first and just hear from the sponsors. But when we come back, I want to talk about what that looks like these days as the houses of worship have opened back up and they are going. And, technology has changed in some of the tools that you use to do what you need to do. So everybody sit tight. We're going to be right back, and then we'll jump right into it.
Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the Investigator's Toolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes. Want full data access without a site inspection? IRB Search gives you full Social Security numbers, dates of birth, up-to-date contact info, and so much more, without the inconvenience or cost of an inspection. As an added bonus, you can access IRB data on any device in any location. You'll always have the best data anytime, anywhere. Visit irbsearch.com and use exclusive promo code PIPOD2021 for a free trial and 100 credits. Offer available for new and returning customers.
Don't let asset investigations become a hassle for you. Let the professionals at J.T. Palmer & Associates, Inc. get you the information you need. We are a team of research specialists dedicated to providing you the intelligence that you're unable to locate through public databases. We have national and international resources available to provide accurate results to assist you in your asset investigations and in a timely manner. We work tirelessly to uncover exactly what collectible assets someone has. Whether you're investigating a business or an individual, our dedicated research team employs a range of techniques to bring the investigation to a conclusion. All information developed over the course of these searches is obtained in an ethical, legal, honest, professional manner. When you need asset investigations done right, turn to J.T. Palmer & Associates. You can contact our team by visiting our website at jtpalmerassociates.com or call 800-808-0078.
Check out the latest issue of PI Magazine. Robert Freed and Dr. Henry Lee grace the cover. Available online or via hard copy.
And welcome back, everybody, to PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today, we are joined by Byron Rodgers from the Bravo Research Group. Byron, welcome back to the program.
Hey, boom. It's an honor to be back, man.
More booms. Gotta love it. Gotta love
all day.
So before we jump into the topic, you do have some other stuff going on, which I want to get to and get the announcement out about. So you're doing like a forum, right? An EP forum. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. This one, I'm excited about this one. So myself, Christian West, Pablo Monasterio, we had a crazy idea, so we have the Close Protection Conference coming up December 8th through the 10th, the largest event in the executive protection space in the United States. One of them, if not they're expecting 500 agents there, right? It's going to be an epic event. And we wanted to see how we could also serve the community and create, an asset for folks to take advantage of while they're there in Vegas, if they, on the very first day. So if you're going to the shooting competition on the 8th, then get after it. But if you're not going to the shooting competition, because a lot of, sometimes it's hard to get corporate funding for that because it's guns and whatever, the politics, or you're just not into it. We have an amazing event for you on the 8th. It's going to be an all day. I think we're going 8 to 5, so you can get done and still go to the conference when it kicks off. And we have a power-packed list of speakers. I'm going to be kicking off the morning talking about social dynamics. We're going to go into Christian West is going to be speaking. Caleb Gilbert's going to be speaking. Aaron Malden, Elijah Shaw, Joe LaSorsa. We've got a heavy list. Jackie Davis, the female that they made the movie about, Safe, the top female agent in the UK, is going to be speaking. So it's going to be jam-packed. And we have a special surprise for you guys that attend that is going to be something the industry has never seen before, but I am not at liberty to disclose here. Right. So it's just a one-day quick pop-up. The format's completely different. Instead of just presentations, we're going to have conversations with everyone in the room. And it's going to be highly interactive. It's going to be a little bit different. So join us for that event too, man. That's going to be an honor to put that, to kick that off.
So the surprise is not like a comped meal at the buffet at the casino, right? That's not.
No, this surprise.
Better.
I will stand by this, and if I'm wrong, you can come find me and talk crap to me. This surprise will blow your socks off. All
right, cool.
We'll blow your socks off. It'll be something that will give you and that you can do that you'll be like, wow, this was amazing. I guarantee.
Yeah, so we'll have all that info in the show notes.
Yes, sir.
So of how folks can find it, and if you live in that space, I strongly encourage you to go check it out. I mean, there's nothing like networking and just being amongst peers, especially after a year and a half, 2 years of just isolation, just getting back into it. I know on my end, I went the last between the summer and the fall here, I probably went to about 4 or 5 different conferences, and it was so great getting out there and just seeing people and networking and making connections. I made some really great connections, especially I was in San Diego a month or two ago. I made some great connections.
That stuff pays the bills for the next year. Like, you get relationships are one of the highest value. It's like relationship equity is what everything good and bad will come through your life, especially in business, through relationships. Business is a commerce of relationships.
100%.
This is what we have to do, you know?
Absolutely. 100%. Okay. So let's get into the topic here. Houses of worship.
Sir.
So walk me through that. What does that look like? If you do this type of work and you wanted to get that type of work, how would you go about trying to enter that space? And what are the important key aspects to make sure you're covering?
Yeah. So houses of worship, you know, it's my passion. It's something that I grew up in church and things like that. Some of the snags that you find have to do with kind of the politics of it. Yep. You know, getting a private security detail in there can be a little bit difficult because a lot of churches have a retired, you know, whatever law enforcement guy or whatever guy. And then they're like, well, this is our security guy. And then they think that that's good enough, right? You know, and then you got to explain things to them, you know, with regards to, you know, are they set up properly with insurance? If something does happen, and have they really thought through their strategy and things like that? And then the other part is buy-in, you know. I have been really blessed at my primary account for sure to have the pastor really buy in, and that's what can flip the congregation to be part of it. Yep. You know, so there's another whole component where you have to train the congregation to value and feel safer, you know, so that has to do with equipping your guards with the right things to say when people are like, oh, security, you know, like, is something wrong? Why are you guys here? Because a lot of civilians are still completely oblivious to the fact that that they need protection there. And I'll say, church protecting places of worship has been the one client demographic that is the most active with regards to actually having to do things with security. Like, right. I've had to go hands-on more at churches, and I've had to deal with more threats around churches than I have out with most A-list celebrities or high net worth families or C-suite executives. The church stuff is actually where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is, you know, broken people need God. So broken people go to church, and Churches broken people have opinions. You know.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I can remember going to Times Square Church in Manhattan and going through metal detectors, and this was well before, you know, I mean, this was after 9/11. You know, maybe 2 years after 9/11, and it's just, you get used to it. Okay, this is what I got to do to get in. It's not a big deal. I didn't feel like my rights were being violated or anything like that. I know this next summer I have the opportunity to go to Ghana to perform actually at a church.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited by that. We got invited to this mega church out there to you know, do my music and all that stuff. And, you know, we had some concerns. Okay, so what's the security like, you know? And they're like, no. It's more secure than the United States. Like, you have to understand, like, the way we treat our security coming into this place. Yeah. You know, there will be metal detectors. There will no backpacks, none of that stuff. Like, that's just policy for them. You know, nobody argues about anything because it is what it is. You know, it's the same thing with going to sporting events too now. You know, I go to Madison Square Garden all the time, and, you know, going through the metal detector, but before you can even get to the metal detector, I got to show them a Vax card and a photo ID and all this. And yeah, it's a pain. It takes longer to get through, but it is what it is. This is the nature of the business and the world we live in these days, right?
Yeah, hopefully you feel safer when you get on the other side of the protocols, and that's what they're there for, and hopefully they work, you know. But I will say, those churches over in other countries like Africa and things like that, man, I mean, it's amazing how much more real they are. You know what I mean? When that's all they got, it's really real. I love traveling to those churches over in those countries, and just the whole frequency that they're on is completely different. It's powerful.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, safety is not just for the Christians, though. There have been plenty of synagogues that have had some issues. There was one in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago that it got real very quickly. You know, it's like, you don't realize these things. And man, I've seen some events in Crown Heights in Brooklyn here in Queens. where there have been thousands of people attending these events. And, how do you get a handle on security with these outdoor events with 4,000 or 5,000 people, streaming and through the streets and running, going crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, any mass gathering requires security, in my opinion. It's it. And, the way that we approach it, and I've approached it with a lot of churches, is, it's less about, the tough guys or guys that have backgrounds being on the security team and working those guys we put those guys in key positions. But really what we want to establish in any mass gathering event is an information network that will alert us to any issue that has to do with security, so we can get the right people to the task as quickly as possible and stop the bleeding. So it's really all about it. Layers and information network, putting people in key positions, and we have a plain clothes layer that's moving through the congregation. And then we also have the overt layer, which gets most of the attention, but is the greatest deterrence. We had meetings with Homeland Security and a few different government organizations when we were setting up some teams, and we're just saying, what's the best thing to do? How do we keep these places safe? And they, across the board, were like, you really want to use deterrence as much as possible, because that's what's going to keep them out, and your plain clothes component, that's going to be obviously to deal with the problems and things like that, and to alert you if things are happening in the crowd. Right. But that deterrence is really powerful. So we're out front. We stand in a place where everyone driving onto the property sees, like, there are armed guards here. But we're selling security. We're smiling, waving, happy Sunday. We're actually interviewing people, how you doing today? Good morning. We're like greeters almost, in a lot of cases. And, the information network's there, we're looking people in the eyes, and with the, the 5150 kind of the populations that come to church, or helping homeless people and helping people that have issues, you really attract a lot of variables into one place that you've got to stay ahead of. We'll tag somebody and keep an eye on them, and it's real hands off, but we got to make sure we're getting that information to the right places.
Yeah, and I think it's in the past probably 4 or 5 years, or maybe even longer than that. Politics has found its way, in there. And that drives people. It really does. I have seen splits, man. I've seen people bail just because you don't have the same ideology. It's like, yeah, but I thought we're the same faith. Like, we believe the same things. Yeah, but you're going to vote for that guy, so I can't talk to you anymore, right? So, it's so crazy to see that stuff happen, but it's real. It really does.
It's sad to see the divisiveness work so well, and anything that shuts off intelligent, thoughtful, compassionate discord between two people, communication between two people, is a huge tragedy for the people, in my opinion. We disagree, and that's how we arrive at higher truth. You might think something I don't see. We need each other's opinions, man.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, opinions are important, and discussion is important, and being able to work through all that stuff. Do you guys do like monitoring on social media for these venues and stuff? Do you set up, you can't really do fences anymore. I guess there's more keyword searches, but you guys, do you have a team that does all that stuff? Is that part of the package?
Not for our everyday. We do a cursory search during the week of all of our social media properties for that church. We're having a larger event, then we dig deeper into OSINT, but the guys that are there, because we also have schools at a lot of these places, the guys that are there during the week, every single day, they have to execute at least one open source intelligence search of the digital properties for the church, and also for whatever clients we have. Yeah, that's kind of how we monitor that. And it's huge because people telegraph what they do. And then if we have a bolo, at any point, then we have those profiles, and we definitely conduct patrols on those regularly as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at stuff like Parkland, where there was that, hey, I'm going to do this for about 6 months leading up into that. You gotta be all over it, man. Definitely.
100%. Those are those are your key target indicators, man. Those are the gimmies, and people can't help themselves, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because it really, at the end of the day, it also comes down to dollars and cents too. When you're dealing with a board at a nonprofit organization, first of all, they're going to say, hey, give me the nonprofit rate. Right.
Oh yeah.
That's the first hurdle you got to get over.
That is the truth.
And then it's like, wow, okay, these are all really cool things that you're offering. But it's like that old Chris Rock joke, right? With the man, $1 for a chicken wing. What I get for 50 cents?
Let me just pour the drink in my hand. How much for a handful? This is so real. This is real.
Exactly. You're having those conversations, and you're like, okay, I know this is not going to happen. Like, I'm crashing and burning here because they're not going to bite. I had my own experiences with technology many years ago, trying to get into that space. And man, there were some cool things we could do, and it worked. And they were like, wow, this is great, but we can't afford it. Or, this is too intrusive. We don't want to survey these people. We don't want to do that. That's not the attitude that we're putting out. All are welcome here. Well, yeah, all are welcome, but maybe the guy that's going to bring the AK, he may not be welcome.
Right. And we'd like to see him coming.
Yeah. Leave the AK at home.
And then, we've had some crazy things happen for sure.
Yeah. So do you have like regular briefings and stuff with the admin there, or I guess the board and all that? Like, what does that look like? Are there regular meetings and going over threat assessments and stuff?
So whatever we consolidate during the week, we send out via email, and then we revisit it to the team, and we work in conjunction with their volunteer team. So we're an adjunct, we're an add-on, to their volunteer team, but we're totally integrated with them. When we send out bolos and information for folks to get familiar with, then before service, we all circle the wagons and we talk about what we have, what happened last week, what we saw during the week, what we'll be looking for, highlight any bolos. We use Zillow quite a bit, actually. And we make sure people have a snapshot of any bolos, and that goes out to our team. And we just get on the same page for that upcoming service, because we want it to be fresh in everyone's minds, so that's usually how we get that data out to everyone right before they get on, and get everyone in the right mood, make sure they're in the right frame of mind, and we get after it.
Yeah. It's interesting. You were talking earlier about having the visual presence and then the non-visual presence.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking of like David and Goliath, right? You got Goliath out there. He's a big dude. Like, hey, don't mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But you got to watch out for David, because he's got that slingshot. He's going to take you out.
And honestly,
one shot, one kill, man.
100%. And some of our best folks, on some of our most valuable people that have been able to stop a lot of things, are like, we've got this little 120-pound female that just looks unassuming, and she's in the bookstore, and she's just like, hey, black shirt, green hat, is over here trying to steal this or that, and no one sees her coming. No one has any idea. It's just a chick in the bookstore with like, some kind of Bluetooth thing on, and she'll send us a snapshot, and then the big boys can walk in and be like, hey sir, how you doing today? And they can address it, and she's like a sniper, and she just moves through the facility, and no one, people are just having their conversations, and she's just giving us the best stuff, man. So
she's making rag dolls at everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It works for
That's
sure.
Cool. That's cool. So what are some of the other challenges, or what are some of the mistakes, do you think, folks that are trying to get into this space make when they're trying to land this type of work?
I think dealing with the perception of security, coming in and saying that my team is better than your volunteers, dealing with the fact that in a lot of people's minds, when you start to mention security for a place of worship, they're like, well, we don't want our congregation, or they naturally have an aversion to it generally. They don't want to even believe sometimes that they need it. And I feel like some security professionals will come like, one, you need this, and this is better than what you have. And it gives that vibe that you're going to really change or negatively impact the culture of the church, because they're focused on their mission and the gospel. So you really want to present yourself and your team in a way that, hey, we're here to add to your mission and to help you achieve your mission. Right. You know, you want them to understand that, like, we're here to make sure that everyone feels welcomed when they come to this church, but also that they feel safe. And, you know, we can offer explanations for that, you know. I mean, so that's kind of I've always come at it at, hey, we're here to add to and help you guys achieve your mission. Right. Not compete with or overtake or be the security guys, you know.
Yeah. You got to swallow your pride, man. And that can be hard to do sometimes, you know, especially when you see some guy who's been there forever, right, on site that, you know, he worked for LAPD back in the 80s.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's the guy. And you don't want to change things too quickly. You know, a lot of guys and companies, they'll come in and want to change the world. And we're going to do this and bag checks and da-da-da-da-da. It's going to be so safe by next Sunday. It's like, Church, no, brother, you want to just drip. Microdose, you know, a little bit, ratchet things up very slowly and be very sensitive to the changes, you know, that are happening, the way you're impacting that culture, you know. And when you've really established a baseline with one change that you've made and it's positive and everyone's like, you know, this is kind of good, this is great, wait a little bit and then drop the next one in. It's something we struggle with in private security as executive protection agents too, where it's like you want to come in and you want to change everything, you want to take over the world and you want to be Captain America. And it will drive you insane knowing that you have holes or vulnerabilities that you have not fixed yet. Sure. But the reality is, you know, Max Joseph says it the best: seatbelt security. You've got to be comfortable if they're going to wear that seatbelt. If you're uncomfortable in that seatbelt and it's locking up on you, you're going to take it off. Yeah. So you have to just change what you can little by little by little. And in a few months, in a year, you'll have a pretty rock solid program if you ratchet it up properly. If you don't, you run the risk of being kicked out of the game. So, you know, another mentor of mine said something awesome. His name's not coming to me right now. He's like, whose responsibility is protecting the principal in private security? I'm like, it's mine. You know, I'm the security agent, you know, top flight. And he's like, no, it's your principals, you know, because they're hiring you, they're paying the bills, and they ultimately get to decide what you do and do not do. And if you don't you're gone. And I'm like, check the ego at the door, homie. Yeah. You know, because it's like we could protect them 800 ways, but they'll be like, I want this one and this one, and that's it. And you just
tell you what, man, game now. You can act like that at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave it at home.
Pay the bills.
Exactly. I would say probably one of the biggest hurdles too is this whole idea of proactive and reactive, right? And changing that culture. And it seems like you got a pretty good thing going with how you're doing this, that you have changed that proactive, you know, to the proactive model, which in this country, you know, when a tragedy happens, and, you know, someone's shooting a place up in Texas, your phone's ringing the next day. Because they're like, oh man, we got to do something, right? Yes. But it seems like you've got ahead of that, and you're doing some of the proactiveness as opposed to being reactive. And that's a big challenge as well.
It is, and the tragedy of it all is that those incidents really validate the model in a lot of ways. Because you wouldn't believe, after those Sundays when those tragedies happen, people come to church and they're like, thank you for what you do. And that's how you know you got a good program, because I'm getting told thank you constantly while we're out there. We really appreciate you guys. People feel safe. And if you're not there, people are like, yo, where's security? Or, you know, what's going on? If you change something, you know, because sometimes we've gone into doing bag checks and then we didn't do bag checks, and people are walking up like, are you guys not doing bag checks? What's going on? Like, why are we not? You're like, do I feel safe? Or you guys are in there? Right? Like, okay,
they're all peeping on you, man.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy. All right, man. We're going to wind down here, but before we close out, give me a nugget or two for folks that are, again, looking to get into this and doing this. Like, what would be your recommendation to how to get started on it?
In executive protection or church security?
Yeah, let's talk executive protection. Let's say we're a PI and we say, you know what, I do have some experience where I can offer value doing EP work. What should they focus on?
I think these days, and this is like right in line with what we teach in the school is, you really want to make sure you understand the nuances of executive protection. So if I'm dealing with a guy coming from the military or law enforcement, or that has like an awesome background, it's like, all right, you can do the work. You're smart enough. You have the background. But it's not a bad idea to take a course or something that is going to teach you the nuances of executive protection. Of course, I recommend mine because it's going to teach you how to situate your resume and your LinkedIn, which is your new resume.
Yep.
And teach you right, and teach you how to network, and how to interface with everyone effectively to get your career started. Right. So getting the industry to react to you as if you're a specialist. One of the things people are dealing with now is the industry's blowing up. The industry is supposed to double in the next decade. And I remember reading that in a Forbes article before the pandemic. Robots aren't replacing us anytime soon.
No, sir.
Right. Corporations are realizing they need to have their own in-house security teams. There are different client demographics. There is so much opportunity, but a lot of people are trying to get into the game. So it's becoming a red ocean of generalists now. So having the edge when it comes to, your resume and marketing and relationships, having a network, this is really how you stand out and get into the game quickly and effectively and efficiently.
Right. Soft skills get you paid, right?
Hey, hard skills may save lives, but soft skills get you paid and keep you in the game. That's what I put together with the school, man, with the league. That's what it's all about.
That's great, man. So the Close Protection Conference, what are the dates on that? When is that going down?
The Close Protection Conference is December 8th through the 10th. And if you're not going to the conference, you can still taste the magic, and you can still be part of, the 500 agents that are going there and network and everything with the EP forum.
Yep.
And that's why we put that together that way, for folks that maybe you don't have 3 or 4 days, but you can come for a one-day thing, or, I think they're charging around $300 for the Close Protection Conference. Ours is, I think, $200, but either way, if you can do it all, do it all. These relationships are what put food on the table for years to come in this game. I can't stress that enough. Business is the commerce of relationships.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, man. So, Byron, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to have all that information in the show notes for folks. And I really encourage people to go and check it out. And, if this is your passion, if this is what you want to do, it will only benefit you to be there.
100%.
So again, thank you for serving our Veterans Day show here and acknowledging. Thank you to all the folks in our industry that have served and continue to serve just on at home, right? In the home field here. I really do appreciate that. And, the sacrifices that were made and all that. We just, we want to acknowledge that. So how do folks get a hold of you if they have any questions?
Yeah. And then one last thing I should mention, since it is Veterans Day, upon getting out of the Marine Corps and getting my career launched and everything, I wrote a book called Finding Meaning After the Military. So if you're out there and you're struggling to find meaning in life after the military, check that book out, look it up. You can find it on Amazon, or you can reach me through my website, byronrodgers.com or byronrodgersmotivation.com, Rodgers with a D, Rodgers, or you can follow me on Instagram, but you can always send me an email through the website. And we can start communicating there if you need anything at all. It's an honor.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on Monday for a regular show. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's an honor.
Yep. Take care, man.
Thank you, Byron, for coming on and talking about protecting houses of worship and the EP Forum. Now check out the show notes to get a link for the details for that event. We also want to thank Crosstracks, IRB, PI Institute of Education, and JT Palmer for sponsoring the show. So please support our great supporters. Now, did you know Investigator's Toolbox has an app for Apple and Google? So take a few minutes and check out the website to really help boost your business and your research capabilities. Use code PIP201836 to save $20 when you join. If you have a question or a comment about the show, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We want your feedback to bring you the best shows possible, and we'll be back on Monday with a new show. So make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.